here today with Mike Graham, one of the most popular presenters at Talk Radio. By one of this country's best media presenters, Talk Radio's Julia Hartley-Brewer. By Isabel Oakeshott, one of the top political journalists and commentators in this country. The Brexit hero and Conservative MP Nigel Evans. With Toby Young, the founder of the Free Speech Union. Well, yes, Annunciata Rees-Mogg, the former Conservative MEP. So thanks for coming on the show, Madeline. Hello Tom, welcome to the channel.
Hi, great to be here.
Now we're joined by the one and only Nigel Farage. How are you, Nigel?
Fine, thanks Mike. Good, yeah.
Some of us are moving on. Not everybody's apparently accepting the result. Right, let's talk about Greta Thunberg. The EU member states attacked the Commission and Germany are now in trouble. If we need more nurses, we will bring more nurses. If we don't need low-skilled workers, we won't bring low-skilled workers. So I'm currently on Edgware Road and this place is absolutely crazy. I mentioned Owen Jones having this weird meltdown for absolutely no reason. But they don't know what's about to come. This building is about to cause chaos again. Like one of these. But, well, these are actual real flags, but the European Union flag, one of those fake flags. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 2CTV and tonight's live stream. I have a feeling tonight we might have two live shows because of all the updates coming in real time. Hello to everybody in the live chat, we're going to come and get your reaction. There's so much to talk to you guys about tonight. The first live show is going to be about China making moves, but it's basically flexing their muscles. And of course we're going to talk about what's going to happen tomorrow on the channel as well. So we have seen some escalations in regards to this conflict between Israel and Hamas. Technically it's between Israel and Gaza at this point, but one main issue is that they have been delaying their so-called ground operation, the actual invasion of Gaza, because they have hostages there and they want to also punish the Hamas terrorists. So they said, we're going to come in. But they've been delaying it for a number of reasons, which we already covered over the last couple of days. But this video is about China. What is China up to? So we did discover yesterday or last night that China have actually been around the Middle East for the past week since the invasion of Israel started by Hamas last Saturday. We've already had a number of warships, up to six warships that have been stationed in the Middle East from China, the Chinese side, amid the rising tensions from the Israel-Gaza war. The arrival of a replacement escort group in the Gulf and Persian Gulf region meant that the two advanced O-52D destroyers have been stationed there at the time of heightened tensions. Now, we did double check. I just had to make sure that they were not there somehow predicting what was going to happen. They actually went as the escalations were happening between Hamas and Israel. They went after the invasion. Some of the warships were already in the area because they were coming back from North Africa. But that's a whole different conversation. China are everywhere, obviously, because the idea that China has is they also want to be the world police. They see America as the leaders of the Western globalism, but they also want to be the leader of the Eastern globalism. So they're not our saviors. They're also a bunch of nutters. And there is now conversation about the role of China and Russia in this whole thing. So most of it, in my opinion, so far is, as I said, it's just flexing muscles. In terms of the China making this move, which is not really a move yet, is essentially to show America that we can be present too. Doesn't really mean they're going to do anything necessarily, like immediately. It's just there to show presence that, hey, you're not the world police anymore, America. We can tell countries what to do as well. And that's why in the live chat, there is a live poll that I've included just before the live stream. I asked you guys, will the Israel-Hamas conflict result in, there are three options, Israel takeover, like complete takeover, short-term battle and war, long-term no change, and the third option is a complete World War III situation. 18% of you predicted so far Israel takeover. 45%, which is the majority, believe it's going to be short. By the way, when I say short-term battle, it could also mean medium-term or longish term. But the main point of the second option is no change. Everything's just going to be going back to the chaotic, controlled chaos, what I call it, in terms of geopolitics. And 38% of you so far have said the third world conflict. Actually, so far, the result is exactly as I predicted, the result. Make sure to actually participate. So put aside China for a second, because we also have to talk about Russia. They also came out last night at the same time saying that they will be coordinating a new Middle East policy with China. Now, they said because America in the 20th century have been going around to the Middle East and other places to create a Middle East policy. This is after the fall of the British Empire. Now, a lot of people are sick and tired of the neocon mentality and globalist mentality, right? So a lot of people in the West were like, okay, is there any country, any government that could just promote nationalism and patriotism instead of going out there to the world? Some people are looking into countries like Syria or Russia and like, okay, this could be interesting. They don't want to go out there. Then they've been proven wrong, because the other side, as I call them, Eastern globalists, also want to be the world police, just like America. So they want to have their own Middle East policy, and they want to be the referee. They want to be the moderators because they are so virtuous. I mean, just like when the Americans said, oh, humanitarian interventions, we are going to go to Iraq and liberate Iraq from Saddam Hussein. Yeah, you're such a good human. But then, of course, there was a strategical reason, and the oil and all the other connections to Saudi. That happened. Now, if Russia and China want to be the referee in this situation and moderators, don't believe anything they say either. At the end of the day, there are still governments and states, and they also lie, just like the Americans do. And so that's what Russia want to do. It's basically like good cop, bad cop, where China is sending warships to the Middle East, outside Israel. Syria and Israel are poking each other right now, and Syria is part of the Eastern globalist team, essentially. And Russia is coming in to be the soft cop, essentially, saying, hey, can we just have peace? He knows that the attention is going to go back to Zelensky. And one main issue with that is that Zelensky has been rejected by Israel and his visit, and because he wants more attention as well. And Russia knows that all they have to do is just not essentially anger the Israelis more. So this is where we are. Also, when we talk about the people who want to be the world police, one main issue is that there are still a lot of people in the Israeli government who don't trust the Russians. But there's also another problem. Americans are not trusted by any side. I mean, look at this guy. This is Ayatollah Joseph Biden. We have... So his friendship with the Iranians has been a complicated relationship because he is the product of the Clintons and the Obamas. And the Clintons, Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, are pretty evil as human beings. They are pretty evil. They are warmongers, but they're also, they befriend the worst kind of people, including the Islamic Republic of Iran. And then they also want to bomb them at the same time. So let's go to Ayatollah Joseph Biden. This is funny.
And I know many of you in the Muslim American community, the Arab American community, the Palestinian American community, and so many others are outraged and hardy, saying to yourselves, here we go again with Islamophobia and distrust we saw after 9/11.
So, for the record, the editing was obviously an edit, but the content of the actual speech, it's real. He's more concerned about Islamophobic hate, even though it was Hamas that did the first attack. But we have to care more about the Islamic people rather than Jewish people and Christians apparently in the West. So Ayatollah Joseph Biden, thank you so much for your intervention. Tomorrow is going to be a big day as well. And then for those of you who just joined, don't worry, we're going to go back to China and Russia in a second. I thought we'd just have fun with Joseph. Tomorrow is going to be a big day. It's going to be another series of protests by the, let's just be politically correct, pro-Palestinian as well as pro-Hamas people. All right? Does that help? Okay. So the Metropolitan Police have released a statement in regards to tomorrow, Saturday, the 21st of October. Oh, you ready for this? We will have more than 1,000 officers deployed to make sure that this demonstration can take place safely and securely. Fair enough. Free speech. Wait for this. We will police impartially, protecting the right to protest while intervening or gathering evidence for subsequent investigation where offences happen. Good. Supporting the Palestinian cause or criticizing Israel is not in itself unlawful. Great. Support for the prescribed organization such as Hamas or Hezbollah is. Good. Now, they said it. Are they going to do it? The Metropolitan Police, are they going to actually arrest people? Anyone wearing, carrying, or otherwise displaying symbols that are supportive of a prescribed organization can be arrested. So they said it. They made their promise. Tomorrow, I have to make some clarifications in regards to my situation because of the death threats against me. I'm under lockdown for a while tomorrow, but I probably shouldn't say this, but I will be out late afternoon, early evening. I'm going to find out exactly what these idiots are going to be up to, and my aim tomorrow is to do a live report. I'm just going to focus on the actions of the police. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be around them. I'm not going to do any intervention. I'm just going to see if an offence is taking place, whether the police will take action or not. I think there's time for us to also scrutinise the police rather than the protesters and the nutters. So that's what I'm going to do. If I'm able to leave the house. Anyway, the latest updates, by the way, things are escalating other places in Germany as well. Germany's interior minister, essentially their home secretary, has called for deportation of Hamas supporters. So, get this. France, Denmark, and now even Germany are becoming more conservative and more patriotic than us and the Americans. How embarrassing for us. The German government that opened the doors to migrants and refugees and everybody else into 2015 without vetting their backgrounds, right? The same German government that are ashamed of their past, the same German government that don't even know what the meaning of conservatism is or basic nationalism, the same German government who are a sellout to the European Union, but they also want to control the European Union, are now talking about deporting Hamas supporters. Are we going to do that, ladies and gentlemen? Are we going to have our government deporting Hamas supporters? Oh, we're not. I can assure you we are not. We need deportations in this country. Apparently, the EU member states, they're the same liberal family of European EU, so lovely, right? Progressive EU. They can do it, we can't do it. It makes me think Brexit has worked exactly the opposite way. It's making us more restrictive compared to the Europeans. Connor says, I don't know how much you earn doing all this, but is it enough to hire private security individual? No. You know how expensive they are? No, it's difficult. Also, I don't really make much myself. Everything we earn, it goes back to the channel. And also, on that note, I'm expanding. I did ask you guys if you want to join the channel, if you guys have any talent, if you want to be a journalist, if you want to be a reporter for the channel, regardless of where you are in the country, send me an email. The link is in the description. Send us your CV if you want to join. But basically, anything the channel makes goes back to the channel. So I can't really afford security. Laurie says we need mass deportations in the UK. I absolutely agree, Laurie. That's the German position, right? 2 Americans. The breaking news that we had from 2 hours ago is 2 American hostages have now been released from Gaza. Initially, Fox News reported that, but then it was actually confirmed by both sides, mostly because the Americans threatened Gaza. Israel are threatening Gaza. Israel are actually doing airstrikes. Somehow, Hamas don't care. But when America makes a threat, despite the fact that Biden is president, they still fear America. This is not a good thing, because that means, again, it's unlikely, but that's just how geopolitics works. If Israel feels that they are being cornered by a lot of people and they don't really want to just go in on their own and get all the blame in terms of Gaza, they might pick up the phone and call America and say, can you get involved and support us, even as a bluff? That is not a good idea. Israel should be on its own. Again, if Western countries want to support Israeli people and Jewish people, that's fine. But in terms of getting America to directly get involved, it's probably not wise in terms of everything geopolitically. Hamas are attacking Tel Aviv and Israel again. They are continuing to fight. The interesting thing about this, the liberal mainstream established media in the West, in Britain, for example, they're not talking about any of this. All they're talking about is the airstrikes from the Israeli side. But I've been following everything in terms of the independent reporters and what's confirmed by Hamas and Israel. Hamas continue to attack Israel. They have not stopped a day over the last week or so. They have not stopped. When was the last time, if you happen to watch BBC or Sky News, any of that, when did they ever mention that? Or are they continuing to just mention what's happening in Gaza? See, this is again double standards of reporting. The whole narrative has always been against obviously the Jewish nation anyway. But despite the fact that some prime ministers and presidents try to turn the narrative into pro-Israel, but they eventually get brought down by the establishment anyway. Anyway, going back to the main point, Adam says, now you're a twat. Apostrophe, don't forget the apostrophe, by the way. Mark, thank you so much, Mark, for your super chat, £2 direct from Ayatollah Joseph Biden. Yes, in case you missed what the most important part of the live stream, we were talking about Ayatollah Joseph Biden and his statement to to the Muslim migrants in America. He's more concerned about the Islamophobia that could be happening, which is the result of Hamas invading Israel. Yeah, because they're the victim, apparently. Let's go back to Ayatollah Joseph Biden.
And I know many of you in the Muslim American community, the Arab American community, the Palestinian American community, and so many others are outraged and hearty, saying to yourselves, here we go again with Islamophobia and distrust we saw after 9/11.
Thank you so much, Ayatollah Joseph. Lone Star says, where is the news about the still intact hospital? Effing BBC. They never correct their... Okay, let's just give them the benefit of the doubt. Mistakes. They never correct it. So when the mainstream media give out fake news, when independent media, when we make a mistake, for example, or something, they are on top of it. They expose us. They go out there saying misinformation, disinformation, far right, blah, blah, blah. But when they do it, whether they make a mistake or they lie on purpose and they get exposed, there's no apology, there's no retraction, there's no correcting the statement. They just move on to the next topic. They still have not really talked about the fact that the hospital is still there. The car park, only a few cars were destroyed because the rocket just dropped. It wasn't even actually hit. There was no target in that sense. But no, they're not going to correct their statements despite the lies that they gave us the first night. Because you have to believe everything that establishment will tell you. You have to believe everything that Gaza will tell you. For the record, the Gaza Health Ministry is Hamas. They're not like the NHS. Also, NHS is not a good example. They're not independent, let's just say. They're not a Quango. Raymond, thank you so much, Raymond Piper, for your super chat support. Two traumatized nations at war. And the main issue we have is that nobody clarified the situation after 1917 discussions and then in the 40s about how this was never supposed to be about Palestine yes or Palestine no. This is about the fact of saying let's just create the country instead of having a tribe, having a few tribes there, which was controlled by the British Empire at the end. And the idea was for everybody to just live together and call it Israel, because it was always Israel. There was no country called Palestine anyway. But then things happened, chaos happened, because the people who rose up, they didn't do it because they wanted the country called Palestine. They rose up because they wanted to wipe out the Jews, and that ideology has not changed. And that also does not mean that the Israeli government have been angels throughout the last few decades. Of course not, especially Netanyahu. But that's a whole different discussion. What we're talking about today is China. What we're talking about is the fact that these guys are flexing their muscles. They brought in up to 6 warships now to the Middle East over the past week since Hamas caused chaos. And what we are witnessing is essentially China saying, if America could pretend to be the world police, we could do the same thing too. Doesn't mean China are definitely going to do an humanitarian intervention. In fact, the idea that they have publicly, again, geopolitics is always about the game of chess. You can't really believe the initial statements. You have to guess what is behind it, or go with the trend. Russia are now saying they're going to coordinate a new Middle East policy with China. You know how we used to draw up maps back in the day? Pakistan? That went well, didn't it? And America became the world police after that. That didn't go well either because they're idiots. Now we got the Eastern globalists coming up because they want to be the world police because they've seen how the Americans have been a mess. Fair enough. But doesn't mean you have to be the world police either. You got Russia and China saying we're gonna promote peace. We could come up with a plan. We could draw maps and give two countries. Good luck with that. Yeah, good luck with that. You definitely don't have any other motive. Angela, thank you so much for your super chat support. I really, really appreciate this. And there was another one there we go. Angel's Death is here. Angel's Death, one of our regulars. The British Empire shall annex all and bring back the British Empire. That's the only solution. Oh, people are going to report me again to YouTube. I'm kind of joking, but I'm not. If you have a British Empire that is based on nationalism and not harm, basically it's a replacement. Instead of having the European Union, you just have British Empire. We'll be in charge, but we're not going to actually tell other countries what to do. Or will we? Anyway, so that's that. But one main thing that we have is tomorrow, as I said, the Metropolitan Police are preparing for tomorrow's massive protest / celebrations / riots / chaos by pro-Palestinian / pro-Hamas / anti-Jewish people, basically. And these people are going to come up on the streets of London. They're going to say whatever they want. But the Met have been very robust in this statement saying we will arrest you if you support Hezbollah or Hamas. If you have the flag, if you have their headscarves and all that stuff, that is basically symbols of those guys. So I'm going to go out there at some point tomorrow. Yeah, it's going to be risky. I'm going to be reporting live. I'm going to be focusing on the police and whether they are actually going to do their job or not. That is the idea. Chris says that Russia and Iran started this war. I mean, definitely Iran is behind it anyway, and we know that Russia trained Iran, but it's always been very, not necessarily complicated, but it's always been layered when it comes to the geopolitical chess moves by either side. It's always been about what's going to come next, 2 or 3 moves ahead. It's not really about, on the surface, oh, well, Iran just wanted to encourage Hamas to just go in and kill a few Jews. It's not just about that. It's about why they did it, to get the reaction from Israel to what happens next. We know Iran are getting desperate because of the uprising against the regime. And I just heard from my sources in Iran that the regime are proactively recruiting. But when I say proactive recruiting, I'm saying forcing young men to join the army again, to be sent to Gaza and the West Bank. That's what the Iranian regime are doing. And a lot of these young people, they don't want to do it. So a lot of them are going to basically hide or escape or whatever. Jeff Phillips, thank you so much for your super chat. Saying that Arabs lay down arms, there would be... Oh yeah, if the Arabs lay down their arms, there will be peace. If the Jews in Israel lay down arms, there would be genocide of Jews. River to the sea, first solution, final solution. Exactly. This is this saying, it has always been accurate. But again, the liberal globalist establishment who've actually been betraying all of us, anyone who believes in sovereignty and nationalism, they don't get this. They end up supporting a bunch of nutters in Gaza who have their own nationalism. Apparently, nationalism is fine when it comes to the Iranian regime or Hamas leadership. They are allowed to be nationalists. But me and you, in London, in Lincolnshire, in Yorkshire, you're not allowed to be nationalist. Double standards. What's going on here? Peter says, one dark day in the middle of the night, 2 dead men got up to fight. Oh, there we go. Just a quick update on the China issue as well. Free KFC at Putin. Oh dear. Putin is about as scary as a creepy Joe. They both can't run a bath. They're both embarrassing anyway. But it is also interesting. The hypocrisy comes from all sides. So the people who say, the anti-establishment people, well, we don't want authoritarian leaders to tell us what to do. But then they look at Putin. Oh yeah, he's good, strong and stable. He's authoritarian. He's bringing down the liberals. I'm like, that's not a solution. The solution is supposed to be against both Biden and Putin, to promote actual freedom and people power. Don't replace an authoritarian idea with another authoritarian idea. It just makes no sense. Unless you are authoritarian, then it's fine. Then go back Ursula von der Leyen. She loves to control Europe. She's trying. Freedom Button says, yes, supporting nationalism, love and respect to all nations. But it's become a dirty word, a toxic word, and that's the problem. A basic soft nationalism was never supposed to be hatred. It was supposed to be about patriotism / duty and responsibility to your nation in a very healthy way. You don't have to go full on Italy 1930. You can just believe in the values that shaped your country, depending on each country, and promote that and protect it and believe in the flag and the duty for your country. So that if one day you're in trouble as a nation, you're going to have enough people joining the armed forces to defend the country. Are you really seeing a situation where tomorrow, if hypothetically, for the sake of the argument, China tries to invade us, and we got all this new generation, half of them are migrants, half of them are basically economic migrants from other European countries, the people who live here, in terms of young, healthy people. Half of them are the so-called asylum seekers from the Middle East and North Africa. The other chunk, the white English or white, Welsh, white, Scottish and Irish, British people, who are too busy drinking Starbucks and watching Netflix all the time and being on Snapchat or whatever. Are you sure that these people are firstly going to be willing to join the armed forces to defend us against China? And secondly, are you sure they're going to be capable of doing that? So this is the fallacy of the whole situation. We become weak for such a long time, we just didn't see it coming. I mean, some people did, but for the past few generations, we're slowly declining. There's absolutely no sense of duty, none of that. They still have it in America, relatively, but not in these countries, not in Germany. Are you kidding me? Are you telling me that the young Germans, hipsters from Berlin, are going to be joined the armed forces and defend the country? They're just going to run away and cry. Pickle Rickle, thank you so much for your super chat. I love the username, by the way. Hail Maya, hail, don't say hail. Hail Maya, hail chat. I'm having fun singing to leftists on X. Don't look in anger. Yes. Oh, don't make me start singing. Right. This is as close as social media as I get. Also, people do not believe that as for someone who's on YouTube all the time, I'm actually pretty technophobic. I'm hardly on any other apps apart from Twitter. I don't even check Facebook anymore. All right, for those of you who joined late, just a quick reminder of what we were talking about. We're going to talk about China and Russia in a second, what's going on there. But I just love this clip. I just need to show you. I just checked. We had a lot of people just joining now on the live stream. So Ayatollah Joseph Biden is more concerned about mean comments about Islamic people in America rather than all those people who are attacking Jewish people and Christians on the streets and the fact that Hamas invaded Israel, right? And this is the speech from Ayatollah Joseph.
And I know many of you in the Muslim American community, the Arab American community, the Palestinian American community, and so many others are outraged and hardy, saying to yourselves, here we go again with Islamophobia and distrust we saw after 9/11.
So you can't be surprised when people see something like this, when he makes these sort of statements. Obviously, the rest of it was an edit. That's not real. He wasn't wearing that. And then he gives money, $6 billion to Gaza, Iran, Hamas, Iran, and all these countries, enemies. And then he negotiates with the Iranians and all. Why are you surprised that people, including the Jews, see America and Joe Biden as a traitor? Why do you think it's not just about the Jews, it's also about nationalist Americans in middle America? They don't see Joe Biden as their representative because again, they see him as a traitor. He doesn't care about the little people, the farmers, the ranchers, and all these guys in middle America. What do we have from you guys? Angela sent a super sticker, £2. Thank you so much. We also have Peter, another super chat, free flights to Palestine for all protesters. If they truly care about Palestinian people, feel free. I mean, I'm not one of those who say, oh yeah, just go and fight with them. No, not necessarily. I'm just asking a very simple question. All these people, the hard left, who've been protesting in the West, defending them, right? Why were you not talking about Palestinian people 2 weeks ago, a month ago, 6 months ago, a year ago? Why did you not care about the cause before? Why have you not been promoting peace or an actual plan in terms of a territorial plan? It's because none of them care. It's not about Palestinian people. In fact, the ordinary civilians, innocent civilians, are being betrayed in both the West Bank and Gaza by the establishments, the Hamas and all those guys, the authority, and by the so-called supporters of the Palestinian cause. Because none of these people are actually providing any solutions to these innocent civilians. And they're being oppressed. The only reason they're doing this, the only reason they're flying the Palestinian flags in the middle of London is because they hate the Jews. And we've seen the evidence. Well, how many times I show you? Today I did a couple of videos showing you exactly the perfect evidence of why we say that. It's not just a guess. It's because the people who've been going around ripping down posters of missing children, missing innocent children in Israel, right? And their argument is that, oh no, we're just going to go out there, do resistance because we hate the Israeli government. It's just about the Israeli government. And then they target the posters of missing children. Is it really about the Israeli government? Or is it about the hatred against the Jews? So, they could go out there and protest outside the Israeli embassy and in a very peaceful manner and talk about how Netanyahu is an idiot or whatever, right? But they don't care. They didn't do it a year ago, 2 years ago, anytime. They don't care. They don't even know where Palestine is, for the love of God. If you show them a map, tell them, ask them basic history of what's been going on. All they're going to tell you, oh, something happened in the 40s. Yeah, we've been told that there was a country called Palestine and the British betrayed them and then they gave them to the evil Jews. No. Just no. Just stop. Stop doing things. Go, read. And the thing is, you can't even tell them to go and get educated because the education system is messed up now. Everything is about propaganda. The last 2-3 generations have been fed lies about the Middle East. Oh, breathe, Maya. All right. Civil Defence UK, thank you for your super chat support. And Mr. 2C, please plug Reform UK. And when you want to join, I will pay for your membership. I'm no longer a party political man. I do not believe in the duty to a political party. Other people do it, but I do. I went to the Reform UK conference, guys. I have Richard Tice, a good friend of mine, on the channel regularly. I say good things when they do good things. I criticize when they mess up, including last night's by-elections, embarrassing result. All alternative parties, new parties, but I will always give them more platform than other mainstream media channels and obviously the other outlets. That also includes others. I've actually been trying to get in touch with the SDP guys again. I've had them before on the channel, but I'm going to get the other smaller parties to also get platformed. Sabrina, thank you so much for your super chat support. Guessing from America, it's $. There are no Palestinian kings, Palestinians, zero history. There are Jordanians, they were mostly from Jordan, and the tribes in the middle of the desert. My excellent reporting. Stay safe, stay strong. They literally called them Philistines, the Romans, to anger the Jews. That was the whole point of the tribe. Philistines. There we go. We have Philistines, not Philistines. UK is paying for the sins of the fathers. A lot of people are seeing it that way. It's been a bit of a mess in terms of the last few decades. Knock, knock, who's there? Zelensky. That reminds me, let's do... there we go, that question. SDP or SWP? No, SDP. The Social Democrats. We've had them before on the channel. The leader. I'm going to bring him back. That was about a year ago, 2 years ago. It's good to get an update about smaller parties. I asked the same question from all of them. Why are there so many smaller parties? Can't you just get together and do something together? All right. Quick update. And then I'm going to find out breaking news for you guys if anything's happening right now as we speak. China, we didn't know this until last night. They brought in up to 6 warships to the Middle East since last week when the tensions escalated. And one of the main areas is that they have obviously always have bases around there, just like Americans. But they had some missions in near North Africa, so they were going back towards China, so they just went that way. Some of them, not all the 6 warships. So China are basically flexing their muscles. Doesn't really mean they're exactly going to do anything right now. That reminds me, we need to go to the live opinion poll in the live chat. Check it out if you haven't done it yet. I asked you guys, how do you think the whole conflict is going to end between Israel and Hamas or Gaza? 23% of you believe that it's going to be an Israel takeover, as in completely, not like a long-term conflict, just completely done. Which is not really what the Jews want anyway, but it's going to be massive. There will be a massive backlash if that happens. 41%, which is the majority right now in terms of the answers, believe it will be a short-term war, short-term or medium-term, but long-term, no change. Everything's just going to be the way it's been for the past few decades. 36% of you believe it could lead to the third world conflict, which is the worst thing that could happen. So hopefully the 36% of you hopefully are wrong. So that's China's position right now. Then they are preparing to show strength, but they haven't done anything yet. The good cop, bad cop in this case is that they want to be the bad cop, but Russia is trying to be the good cop, pretending, saying we will be coordinating a new Middle East policy with China. We will be the new world police. So let's see how that goes, how that works out for those guys. Chris says, what China built the biggest navy actually. The problem is that they do not have the capacity when it comes to economic and political stability. China will not last that long. Even right now, we could technically call China an empire. Technically, it is an empire with their interventions in every single continent, almost every continent. South America, Central Africa, Middle East, they are everywhere. Asia. They are the new America, basically, in that sense, but they do not have the stability that the Western democracies have created after the Second World War and Cold War. Not to defend the Western globalists either, but that we're in decline as well. But China could spend a lot of money on their armed forces. They just won't have the capability if, for example, the whole of NATO get involved. I mean, we're not really advocating for that, but Phil actually believes that China can play an important role. They don't want to see their consumers destroyed. So Phil gets it, because the Chinese empire, or as I call it, believes in buying out countries and continents. They realize the old days of conquering like empires, those days are gone. You still see tiny conflicts, like regional conflicts, like Ukraine, like in Gaza and all this. But China, because they don't have the capability of even doing that, they've been focusing on financial gains, business, trade, and having control over each nation by hacking them, basically. Having spies everywhere, cybersecurity, a lot of bots. That's how they are monitoring the bases that they have. Because they need every single one of us as a customer. They are already taking advantage of us. They are already using us. We are already their slaves. We're slave to the system. The system that the Western globalists, our own establishments created like idiots. And we essentially sold out to China. And then now it's so difficult. As consumers, we don't have the power. We can't say, I'm not going to buy this anymore. I'm going to buy British. There's so many items right now, immediate items, that you don't have that choice as a consumer. But if our governments focus on becoming nationalists again, self-nationalism, look after their own interests and start building things again, and we don't have to build everything in one tiny island, our allies, nearby. If the Dutch want to build some stuff that we can't build here, they can do it, sell it to us, and vice versa. We could sell them some stuff that we build here. You do it like that, instead of actually getting it from literally an enemy. But an enemy that Bill Clinton thought he could just shake hands with them and bring him into the tent in 1992. The idiots thought that they could control China. They thought they could tame the dragon. They thought if they introduce capitalism to China, they're going to become like us. Really? Nothing has changed. The culture is authoritarian. It's not really about the political leadership. Diversity is our strength. So they say, apparently. Yeah, Julie understands it. She says China sneaks in and buys everybody out. They don't like open war. That's exactly the strategy that they've had over the last 2 years with Russia and Ukraine. You remember the first couple of weeks they came out and said, hey, we'll be ready. Whatever happens, we're here. If anybody needs us, by the way, we're just standing in the corner. Whether Russia wins or Ukraine wins or both sides loses or both sides wins or whatever, China will be there. Because they are there to provide support. Oh, we're just going to come and help you guys. We're so virtuous. Just like when the Americans said, we are going to go liberate the Iraqis. Yeah, sure, because it was such a virtuous mission from America. Absolute chaotic people. All right, it's been 40 minutes. Let's take a break. If anything happens later on, I'll come back to you guys. Otherwise, tomorrow will be a big day. Just a quick update in case you don't know. I forgot to tell you guys. This guy is an MP. He's a member of parliament. He's a good friend of mine. Andrew Bridgen is going to be on this channel tomorrow evening to tell us about what has happened today in the House of Commons, because we had the excess deaths debate. I saw bits of it. It was a little bit sad to see that the House of Commons chamber was pretty empty. There were still a few Tories on the benches, back benches, but the Labour side was essentially empty, and the SNP side and the other side. But it's not really a surprise. But we're going to have him on the channel to explain exactly what happened and where we're going to go with this. What's the result of that situation? There was also the update where Hamas are still attacking Tel Aviv, which again the mainstream media has not been talking about over the last few days. They have not stopped attacking. Everyone's focusing on Israel's doing airstrikes on Gaza, but somehow our media completely ignoring the fact that Hamas are still also hitting Israel. So everything's one-sided. Everything, they have their own agenda. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and consider becoming a member of the channel if you want to support our new independent media revolution. And also, don't forget, we have our new website, 2ctv.com. Go on it, bookmark it, save it, check it regularly. We update the website with breaking news and everything else throughout the day. I'm Maya 2C, and we are the media.